Alrighty, everyone. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. This would be week three of our meditation course here. So last week we covered our breath being our home base, the thing that we return to time and time again. But the way that we can frame today's discussion, today's class will be more structured around developing mindfulness of our body. So if breath is considered that home base, then our body is the place that we learn to live in. Seems pretty straightforward, no duh, it's like the only body we have. But we have to learn to develop a more healthy relationship to the body that we live in. Because what we learn about ourselves when we sit to meditate, the task is simple. We are sitting, we are breathing. But what we come to realize is that the body pulls us away from the breath. That is one of the sources of distractions that come up. The aches in the body, the restlessness in the body, that is one source of discomfort and distraction. And no doubt, the other source of distraction comes from all the thoughts that run through the mind. And I guess one of the key points that we want to try to understand today is a lot of people believe that meditation happens in the mind. And when we think about the mind, I've already instinctively done it, we associate the mind as being somewhere up here. And the Buddhists would say that there is a thinking mind that exists, which we would associate with the brain. But in different cultures, in different forms of belief, there are several types of minds that exist within the body. So we have a second mind that for some of us would exist somewhere down here in the pit of our stomach, our gut. Our gut has, I believe, the second most nerve connections outside of the brain. So the brain being the most amount of nerve connections in the body, but the gut being, I believe, the second most, if not somewhere in that upper amount of nerve connections in the body. So when it came to the Buddha's teachings, one of those teachings was to establish mindfulness of the body. Not of our body, but of the body. So there's already, in his phrasing of it, a little bit of space created between you and the body. Because we do have this association that we are this body of ours. But there is something beyond the body, or rather underneath all of the layers of the body, that is not the body, that is still us. Does get into a bit more abstract philosophy on the Buddhist side of things, but it is understanding that the body is something that is always changing. The body that you have today is not the body that you had yesterday. It's not the body that you had last week. It's not the body that you had 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But this body is still something that you are working with, carrying with you until this body passes away. So we have to learn to live in this body in a mindful way. And that is what will be one of the things that we center today's practice around, learning to be mindful of our body in the context of our meditation practice. And I guess one of the things that we have to understand here is that the body doesn't need to be fixed. You know, when we're sitting and we feel discomfort surface in the body, there is this instinct within us that says, like, that needs to change. The knee, I always use the knee as an example because for me, my lower back, I think it's inescapable, these two areas. But let's just talk about lower back stiffness that may surface up. We have this idea that when discomfort surfaces in the body, that something needs to change, something needs to be fixed in order for that pain to fizzle away. And then I usually talk about some of my experiences within my silent meditation retreats. We get asked at a certain point within our meditation practice on my retreats, where we sit for 2 hours without opening our eyes, opening our hands, opening our legs. So we adopt a meditation posture, similar to what I've done right now, your choice of hand position. But once you've adopted that posture, and it may take you a few minutes to find what that comfortable posture is for you, whether you have a backrest, whether you don't have a backrest, whether you have blocks underneath your thighs or no blocks. whether you choose to rest with hands on your legs or in your lap, whatever that posture is. But it's not even a posture, embody it as like a throne, something that is very, powerful for you to maintain. But once you have established your throne, your seated meditation posture, that no matter what happens, you try your darnest, you try your best, not gritting your teeth and enduring the discomfort, but surrendering yourself to the experience of the meditation so that you do not have to concern yourself with having to constantly try to fix things, because nothing's broken. What we talked about is that, I believe in the last week or in the week before, when we sit to meditate, that is sometimes the first opportunity that we give ourselves to notice what's going on. So all the pain and discomfort that the body carries on a day-to-day basis that is not given any awareness to. When we sit to meditate, this pain that we've always had in the body gets a chance to surface. And if it's getting a chance to surface, and that is the first time you are being aware of what is surfacing, it feels very intense, it feels very strong, it demands a reaction from you. But the body is just feeling. It is your mind that chooses to react to these things that it is feeling. And so today's practice, once again, I'm just going to keep trying to echo all of this stuff, is that as we develop mindfulness of the body, what it is that we're trying to be mindful of is the sensations we feel on the body. Certain areas of your body, you'll feel heat, you'll feel coolness, you'll feel pressure, you'll feel heaviness, lightness. Some areas you'll feel absolutely nothing. Nothing is still something for you to work with. Oh, that's a good catch. The intention of this practice is not necessarily, because the technique that we're going to be doing today would be a body scan. And typically a body scan in the West, it's taught as a form of relaxation. And it can be that. Just given the fact that so many of us were disconnected from the body, when we bring awareness into the body and we can work skillfully with a body scan meditation, it does develop a sense of relaxation because you are coming home to yourself. But at the same time, in this home of yours, as we talked about in week 1, there are some closets that we've not looked at. And so as much as we're using this body scan meditation to sweep through the body, to clean out some of the tension that we're holding, we also have to bring awareness to the fact that there are skeletons in the closet. There is dust underneath the couch. There is all of this baggage that we may be carrying. So it's then not also about judging all of the dirtiness that we have, all of the discomfort that we carry. And on top of all of that, it's not entirely about relaxation. It's not entirely about judging the discomfort. And it's not entirely about controlling what's happening in the body. If you've had an injury in your body, something is going to surface most likely in that area. Could be something physical, could be something mental, could be something emotional. And it's not that we're trying to repress what we try to feel or what may start to get felt. And it's not that we're trying to ignore what we are starting to feel. We have to let things come up to the surface. We have to let things themselves, these emotions, these feelings, these physical sensations, we have to learn to let them breathe as much as we are the ones sitting and breathing as well. So our breath holds the space, not just for us, but also for what is within us. Does that make sense? Somewhat? Yes? No? Questions so far?
Sort of.
Okay, if you have questions, always let me know. So let me just kind of explain. If we can try to understand that this body scan is not necessarily there to create relaxation, it's not there to, judge discomfort, and it's not necessarily there to control what we start to feel. What we can then reframe this body scan as is the ability to feel what is already there. So what was already in the knee was already there to begin with, but we've never given it the awareness to surface. It's like we've closed the door on it because of our ignorance, and it's not ignorance in a bad way, it's just we're We're not bringing awareness to something, so we are, in that sense, ignoring it. So here we are sitting, asking ourselves to just breathe, but we have opened the doors for things to start coming in. And as a result of that, that discomfort in the knee would have already been there, but we would have never paid any attention to it. So here we are sitting, breathing, and we are now starting to feel what was already there, the discomfort that the body carries. So if we can start to accept and feel what is already there, then we have to work very skillfully with just the facts. And this is where the mind will start to play tricks. It will turn fact into fiction. And the fact is, throughout the meditation, at some point, the body may start to ache. The lower back may start to feel a bit tense. The knee may start to feel a bit achy. Okay? That is a fact. The fiction of it all is that when you start to add layers on top of that, when we get really attached to what we feel. Unless I move my leg right now, this is only going to get worse. That being like a very, run-on kind of thought. That, something that, I think I mentioned this as well last week, something that may have only felt like a 2 or a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. Because it's starting to now ask for more and more of your attention, it is now starting to amplify up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And some of that is the physical pain. We can't argue with that. We can't really change that. We can't control that. But what turns something from a 3 to a 5 to a 7 to a 9 is sometimes the mental layering that we put on top of all of the physical discomfort. And that is where we have to be very skillful in learning to remain present. Because when we start to drift towards turning something small into something big, we are starting to drift away from the present moment. Because recall, present moment, in the practice, we're just breathing. We are simply breathing. Not doing anything more. We're not breathing and doing something else. I mean, sitting, yes, but sitting is just the passive action. And so, if we can understand that we're trying to feel what is already there, we are trying to let facts remain as facts, not trying to add in our own narrative to it, and that we are trying our best to stay present with our breath without the need to change anything, then it's about learning to build the capacity to stay in this moment with all that you feel. Now, like I said, being asked to sit, legs crossed, hands unmoved, eyes remain closed for 2 hours. Not easy, even for me. It wasn't easy, never is easy. And it's not to say that I don't feel anything. But there is a very important pillar of Buddhist philosophy known as anicca. A-N-I-C-C-A. And it is the experience of impermanence. And I can give you textbooks of knowledge about impermanence. But impermanence needs to be experienced for it to be believed. And impermanence in the most basic sense is, if we can understand that when we began the meditation practice, assuming that we began it in a place of comfort, that it doesn't matter how intense something has come up during that practice, the achy knee, the intense emotion in the mind, it is impermanent in nature, which means if it comes out of nowhere, it will also fade into nothingness as well. But what happens is when something rises to the surface, and especially if something's very intense and it demands your reaction, your attention, we believe that it's going to stay there forever. We almost forget that there is also an end to that thing. And we have to be able to take the step back, to remain present in the moment, to understand, okay, the back has now begun to surface with some form of discomfort. And just notice how I've phrased that word. It's not my back is now hurting. Some discomfort has surfaced in the back. I'm trying to create distance around me and the feeling. Not in a way that is me trying to be, what would be the word? I'm not trying to ignore it. I'm not trying to, shut it away, but I'm creating distance. And, I use that word a lot, space and distance being a very important aspect of our practice. But if we can view it from that lens of, discomfort has surfaced in my back. Okay, I can acknowledge that. It is unpleasant. Is there something I can do? Technically, yes, I could try to fix it. But then the reality is a little bit of fidgeting. Okay, cool. Maybe it temporarily fixes what I was trying to, figure out there. But there's a very real possibility that in the next 5 minutes or less, something else is going to make noise. And then what was supposed to be me meditating has just come to me fidgeting every couple of minutes because I'm unable to accept the fact that the body is constantly changing. There's all of these impermanent factors within the body. Impermanent feelings in the physical body, impermanent thoughts within the mind, impermanent emotions within the heart. And we're just trying to create space away from all of that within this practice of meditation. A lot to swallow, no doubt. When we work with the practice, it'll start to click a bit more.
Now, may I just ask, creating the space then does what? Does it bring us more peace? Does it?
So it was one of the points. Oh yes, you weren't here last week. Yes. So
right.
I'll send one of you the YouTube videos from the last 2 videos. Send it to you as well. Yes. Now, peace being a good word to use. One of the things I spoke about last week is a lot of us try to seek or find peace outside of ourselves, in external sources, in things that are short-lived, because the peace that we find outside of ourselves isn't permanent peace. It's not everlasting peace. Not knowing or not realizing or being ignorant to the fact that for a lot of us, the peace we seek is already within us. It is buried. It is buried over tension, physical tension, mental tension, emotional tension. When we start to get overwhelmed by that, stressed by that, anxious by all of those things that impede on our peace, we then have to try to find peace outside of ourselves. But meditation being that tool, that if we can quell some of that discomfort, that mental tension, physical tension, if we can create space away from that, then the peace can be found within us. And so meditation gives us the ability to, take a step back from all of that. 5-minute practice, 10-minute practice, 15-minute practice, to not have to concern ourselves with all of the roles that we play in daily life. We are mothers, we are fathers, we are, responsible for X, Y, and Z. We are this job title, we are that person to that person. All of these things unknowingly add layers of stress and tension onto your life. But meditation being used as the tool to not having to be a mother, father, brother, sister, this job title, that person, to just be. And just that word of just being, that is the essence of meditation practice. We start by doing meditation, but as we progress on the path, meditation is no longer something we do. It is a quality of being. It does take a lot of discipline to get to that point, but there are, moments of time in which we can create meditative space within us so that we can approach life from that space, which is a space that is not being intruded upon by all of the tension that we carry. So it's one thing to be a person, say you say something mean to me, and it's out of genuine anger. My natural reaction is to respond to your anger with my anger. And so I'm throwing fire at fire. But there is also a possibility, it takes a lot more restraint, a lot more tolerance, a lot more mindful capacity and compassion, that you say what you do to me in all of the anger, genuine anger, malicious anger, hateful anger, and I do nothing. It's not to say that I don't acknowledge what's been said, but I can understand in my mind that me responding to that much hate with more hate doesn't solve the situation. But it's not to say that I don't feel what you said. I can feel the energy of your words. But if I take a few deep breaths, even just one, before I say something back to you, because it might be that that one deep breath is all the space that I need to not say something. Whereas if I didn't take that deep breath before I've even created the space, anger has washed over me and I respond to your anger with my own anger. Does that make some sense? One of the first times I finished my Vipassana, this silent meditation retreat, and there's usually like this glow, this afterglow of like awareness, you can call it, or whatever, meditative space that you've created, because it is a very powerful experience. No phone, that's already powerful enough for some of us, but no reading, no writing, no talking, no listening to music, no exercising, 10 days. And so you come back into the real world and you're very sensitive to everything around you. It's very first time it took me like a week to just get used to traffic again, because I wasn't used to things moving that fast when I was away on the retreat. There was no car. You're just in a secluded forest where the fastest moving thing is like a bird, right? But now you hear the loud traffic, you hear the fast cars, all of this kind of stuff. And then even on like a more personal note, I remember the very first person I talked to upon coming back from the retreat, I talked for 4 hours, straight. It was like my energy was just so high, my battery was so charged, and the direct conversation, direct connection with a human was very fulfilling. And you could just receive energy. That word is very abstract and it means a lot of things, so interpret it how you will, but energy within you can be felt. Energy that someone else shares can be felt. And long story short, I was at the gym. This might have been a few days after. And I was sitting in a cold-ish pool. It's not probably cold, it's probably just regular swimming temperature, but I stepped out of the sauna, sat in the pool, so there was some coolness on my body. And maybe 50 feet away from me, I was hearing an argument in which one person was definitely in the wrong, but he was not accepting it. And it was just a whole situation which I was getting really flustered by. But the very unique thing of that whole experience was feeling anger within my body. I was in a cold pool, but I felt a heat within my chest that I had never felt before. And it was me literally feeling anger surfacing in my body. And I had to do something with it, because there's one method in which I go, your thoughts turn into words, words turn into actions, right? So this me seeing what was happening was generating thoughts in my mind of how can this person be so ignorant to think that he is right when he is clearly wrong? And that stream of thought turns into a stream of words of this guy's so dumb. It's just it's boiling me. It's literally boiling me up from the inside. And that could have turned into an action, whether that action is just me verbally going to confront the person or whatever it is. But instead of me taking that approach, because in that state I was just very, heightened, I went immediately to the front desk and I was like, hey, there's something happening in the pool. You need to go do something about it, because I can't deal with it right now. And I could just feel as I, released my burden onto someone that was definitely more capable of handling it, that had the authority to handle it, I could feel my temperature slowly come down. But for some of us, when anger sweeps into the body, it is that. You don't even feel it bubbling, it erupts. And mindfulness of the body as a meditation practice allows us to notice these things surface within us. It's a very unique way to practice meditation, but it is also a meditative form of living. If you can create and cultivate that much space within you, right? You know what I think it was last week, it's, for some of us, our thoughts are like this. Our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. When they surface right in front of your face. And so it's very hard to objectively work with them when they're that close. They demand reaction. But if they're outside of this room, still very intense, very loud, but that space that's being created, you can see things a bit more objectively, more clearly. And so if it takes a step into my meditative space, I can deal with that a lot easier as opposed to if it's right in front of my face. So I hope that tangent helped explain a little bit about working with what this meditation practice can create. It's that meditative space, so that peace that you seek isn't something outside of you, but you can work from a state of inner peace to respond to the environment around you. Okay. Let us do a body scan so that the theory of the practice doesn't get too far away from the actual practice. This is one of the few meditation practices where I encourage you to lay down. You can do a body scan seated. That is my usual preference, but laying down just helps so that you can, bring a bit more awareness to the full space of your body. We'll give ourselves a couple of moments. We do not need to rush. We allow ourselves to find a comfortable position, whether we are seated or laying down. Allow your body to be supported by blocks if needed. If the neck feels uncomfortable without a block, please place it underneath your head. If you need blocks underneath your thighs, underneath your knees, that may be an option for you. And let gravity do the work to bring that additional sense of stillness into the body. Feel as if there's like a weighted blanket on top of you. Something that creates so much comfort that you don't need to move, you don't care to move. And typically within meditation practices, there's a little aspect of grounding down, of bringing our mind into our body. And we can do that in a very simple way by bringing attention to the different points of contact between our body and the ground beneath us. So notice your feet. For some of us, the heels of the feet are on the ground. If your knees are bent, maybe the bottoms of your feet are on the ground. Notice your hips, your shoulders, your arms, whether your hands are on your body or off your body. Now, within this body scan, we use our awareness to check in with different parts of the body. In doing so, no doubt relaxation becomes a byproduct of what we are doing with this practice. But do understand that some areas of the body carry some different kind of energy. You may feel some discomfort in some areas. Some areas of the body may also rise with a layer of thought or emotion. And so we try our best to just work with the facts of what is being felt in the moment. We do not need to change anything. We do not need to figure out anything. We just need to remain present with breath as we observe this body in which we live in. Do try to understand there's no right way to feel the body. Whatever you feel is truth for you. And as mentioned earlier, even nothing is something that can be felt. So we'll start by shifting our mind's attention as far away from the thinking side of things as we can. So please slowly shift awareness down towards your feet. We use awareness to feel the body, which means as best as we can, we avoid moving the body part to feel it. So just notice, what area of your feet do you feel most clearly? The heels, if they're in contact with the ground. If you're wearing socks, you may be able to feel the touch of the sock against your skin. If you have a blanket wrapped on top of your body, you may feel the touch of that against your foot. The bottoms of your feet. Maybe you feel some of your toes, the tops of your feet. As you just bring this sense of awareness to your feet. Don't worry if one side of the body, the right foot or left foot, is a bit easier to connect to than the other. But from our feet, let us shift awareness a bit higher. Can you feel the connection of your feet towards your ankles? From your ankles towards your lower legs. Maybe feeling the muscles around your calves, feeling the tops of your lower legs. That connection from your lower legs towards your knees. Now, many of us, we began today's class with crossed legs, so in this moment of extended legs, maybe the knees feel some relief. Just notice if the legs feel pleasant, identify it as such. If it doesn't feel like a whole lot, acknowledging that. From your knees connecting up towards your thighs. Tops of the legs, backs of the legs. And extending your awareness from your thighs and legs towards your hips and pelvis. Now, before we move any higher up into the body, just take a moment. Observe the stillness that has been created within your lower body. This sense of softness and heaviness in the area around your legs. Know where your legs need to go. There's nothing they need to do. We're just letting them rest. So just observe what it feels like to let your legs rest. And as mentioned, if you notice some discomfort, some restlessness, maybe even some blind areas, they may feel a bit numb, a bit cloudy, a bit hazy. Acknowledge them, hold space for them, But see if you can just let them be. Not getting caught up in the story of what's going on. Not trying to change what's being felt. Just breathing. From this area around our hips and pelvis, let us shift towards the lower back. For some of you, your spine may be naturally curved, so the lower back may have that curve in it. Some of us a bit flatter through the back half. But from your lower back, extending your awareness up the length of your spine. From your lower back to your mid back. From your mid back to your upper back. And understanding that for some of us, the back body is a slightly difficult area to connect to. We don't see it in the same way that we see our front body on a day-to-day. But if you feel some tension along the back body, see if it can soften. As your awareness climbs towards your upper back, see if you can shift it towards the center of your chest, your torso. Take a moment first to just feel the area around your sternum, your rib cage. Two very simple things for us to check in with. The rhythm of your breath, the rhythm of your heartbeat. Our heart and lungs are two teachers that we carry within us. They don't ask anything of you other than for you to listen. So just take a moment. Listen. Just very slowly shifting from the chest and sternum a little bit lower towards the belly. This area within our body, home to our many digestive organs. Some organs we can name, most we may not be able to name. And it's not that you're being asked to feel each and every organ that you contain within this area. To name a few: stomach, liver, spleen, kidneys, intestines. But just try to understand that these organs work tirelessly for you day and night. But in this moment, we're just allowing them to rest. Nothing they have to do. We're just letting them be. We will slowly withdraw awareness away from the torso, away from the belly, away from the chest, as we shift awareness towards our shoulders. Notice if the shoulders may feel a bit tense, if tension has creeped in. Can you soften that tension? From the shoulders, can you extend down towards your upper arms? From your upper arms connecting to your elbows? From your elbows to your forearms? Forearms to wrists? From your wrists to your palms, and from your palms extending out towards your fingers and fingertips. And once again, in this moment of stillness, in which your arms have nothing to do, nothing your hands need to grab onto or hold, can you just allow your arms to feel rest? Lastly, as we shift awareness away from the arms, away from the upper body, we bring awareness to the area around our throat, this area around your neck. And from this area around your neck, we shift a little bit higher, bringing that sense of softness to the muscles around our face, relaxing our jaw, softening the area around our mouth, softening the area around our nose, our eyebrows, eyelids, the muscles around the eyes. Shifting higher towards the area around the forehead, the temples, the ears. As you wrap your awareness around the top of your head, the side of your head, the back of your head. And the final part of this body scan is to notice the connection of your whole body from head to toe. Can you remain aware as you connect from the very top of your head down through the muscles of your face? Feeling that connection from the face to the neck, from the neck to the shoulders, from the shoulders down through to the arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, extending all the way to your fingertips. extending your awareness then down through the chest, the rib cage, the belly. Wrapping that awareness down through the back body, the upper back, mid back, lower back. And noticing how this awareness of your upper body extends lower. First into that area around the hips and pelvis, and then slowly connecting lower down through the thighs, the upper legs, connecting down to the knees, from the knees down towards the lower legs, from your lower legs down to your ankles, and from your ankles extending all the way down towards your feet, tops of the feet, bottoms of the feet, all the way down towards your toes. Feeling breath throughout the body, feeling connected throughout the body, feeling present within your body. Take 5 full body breaths. Wonderful. And as we come to the end of this body scan, very slowly, very gently, we can start to move. Fingers, toes, wrists, ankles, just reconnecting to the area around you. Please be mindful of the space overhead. Some of you may choose to reach your arms overhead, but there's no need to rush, however works best. You'll open your eyes and slowly make your way up into a seat at the front of your mat. Once again, just a moment for some quiet reflection of one, just reflecting on how the experience of that particular meditation was for you. When it comes to rather the specifics of the meditation, you may just try to recall if there were areas of the body that were a bit more vivid in sensation, if there were areas of the body that are a bit more dull in sensation, if there were areas of the body that were demanding your attention. So even after we may have passed by it, it would keep sparking up. Areas where we carry chronic pain, fatigue, tension, they may surface with more sensation than others. How the mind relates to the body is a thing to reflect upon. If you've had an injury in a particular area, then very naturally as you scan by it, you may become triggered in some sense of that memory that caused the injury. But one of the things that this kind of practice demonstrates to us is that we can come back to our body at any point in time. Doesn't require any special conditions. No doubt, the quieter an environment is, the calmer an environment is, it's easier to cultivate that presence within you. But even just simple things. When you're brushing your teeth, can you feel the contact of the toothbrush against your teeth? To expand that sense of awareness, can you feel grounded? Can you feel contact with the earth? Can you feel your feet against the ground as you're brushing your teeth? Things that we just do, the word I would say is mindlessly. It's just, things that we do on autopilot. But can we bring a sense of mindfulness back to the experience? If you do feel emotional about something in a situation, can you bring awareness to the sensation of that emotion before that manifestation of thought becomes words, becomes actions? When it comes to habits in our daily lives, can you notice your posture when you're on your phone? It frustrates me so much that you look over and it's like there's a bowling ball on the head that has just dropped the head straight down to the ground. But these are just things that, once again, mindlessness being the thing, we just don't bring awareness to it. So there's different ways to interpret a body scan. What we did today, I believe maybe about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. There are methods of body scan that are a lot longer, that allow you to spend more time in the body, in certain body parts. For you in your daily life, it may be something like before you get out of bed in the morning, just scan the body very briefly, just to acknowledge okay, did I get a good night's sleep? So you just observe, does the body feel rested? Does it feel relaxed? If yes, great. If not, then it may not be that you can change anything about it. But if you can come to that place of acknowledgement, of understanding, of acceptance, then at least it'll allow you to, work through the rest of the morning in a way that doesn't deny the fact that the body may not have gotten full rest. Or at the end of the day, a few minutes before settling into bed. A lot of times, people have difficulty going to sleep, but they don't know why. And sometimes the body's just holding on to some of the tension of the day, the stress of the day. And if we can just notice some of that before drifting off into bed, it can make a huge difference in, for some of us, the subconscious mind, just what you end up dreaming about, or in some cases, having nightmares about, because we just haven't let the day go. If you're someone that has chronic pain, you may just choose to spend a few minutes to develop a positive relationship to the area that causes you pain. One of the first environments that a body scan was introduced was in a hospital, can't remember where, but it was working with terminally ill patients. And the idea being that although you may not physically recover from illness, it does not mean that you cannot heal in the journey of all of that. So for them, for people that were going through chemo or people that were going through other terminal illnesses, a lot of operations, this, that, and the other, it was an opportunity for them to build a more healthy relationship to all the discomfort that they were feeling. So instead of going into these treatments or into these procedures with a lot of tension, apprehension, resistance, you have to learn to soften and to surrender to the experience. Not easy to do, and that's not the point of it all. This is not an easy thing to sometimes do, especially if you have a past history that creates trauma within you, that creates tension within you. But it's about learning to build a skillful relationship and learning how to relate to the body and learning to listen to the body. Because all we are working with is what we are feeling. We're not trying to seek out anything in particular when we feel it. We're not trying to change anything explicitly when we feel it, but we are holding space for things to rise to the surface. Any questions?
What you just mentioned is more the question of acceptance. But once you accept, then you decide, I'm not going to change it because I've accepted it.
But it's a hard place to arrive to, because we always want to, once again, try to fix something when the reality may be there's nothing to fix, but we have to learn to accept. And it's a hard thing, it's a hard pill to swallow that, this discomfort that we feel, There's nothing we can maybe do to change it. Some things, yes. Some things you can change, but not everything. And the things that we can't change are sometimes the things that we build the most amount of resistance towards. And a body scan relationship, or a body scan, is helping us to build a relationship to ourselves. Not just the parts of us that we like, or to, it's easy to have a good relationship to yourself when everything's fine and dandy. But then, reality sets in. We start to age, the body starts to change, and that is where the relationship starts to change. And now we start to chase fountains of youth. Whereas none of those fountains of youth, those external means of trying to find peace, are going to help us with what's happening internally. So acceptance is a huge part of a meditation practice, of a mindfulness practice.
I bring this up because I lost a very good friend of mine, 40 years, same age. He died of cancer. And it is amazing, towards the end, he had accepted it. He knew he was passing. And he always had a smile. But none of us sat with him, and none of us, we were angry and why did this happen? And it was amazing to see the glow on his face because he just accepted it. He knew he couldn't change it. He knew he was passing. And it was a fantastic feeling. It was a fantastic feeling for him.
Now, just being mindful of time, it is 12:15. If anybody does want to share anything more, by all means you can. I'll still be around for 5 minutes, but if you ever have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, this video will be on YouTube channel most likely by tomorrow. If you missed the first 2 weeks, I'll send you that information. All three of you, yes. I'll just talk to you right after this, but otherwise, I hope this body scan is just something. It's, once again, another tool in the toolbox to use. Hope still being that the seated meditation practice that we've built the foundation on doesn't change. That still gets brought in. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however many minutes you can invest. But this is a tool that we can use to further enhance our sense of mindfulness. That we can be not just mindful of the breath as we developed last week, but this week we're now starting to develop mindfulness of the body. And over time, developing more and more mindfulness so that it is all prevailing. Cool. Thank you.